all, we have come to a conclusion. There are so many pictures that we can consolidate and give an understanding to what we have learned. But from this, so far, the class interpretations for almost 1 hour, we can basically understand that our ability to come up with strategies, our ability to come up with the strategy, which is activities, come from our knowledge, which means our competencies. So the competencies is the knowledge. It's a very important process, and it is only the outcome. And how we're gonna do this and get this it's a lot of issue, and this is only a process of developing knowledge and attitude and skill. And we have not even go into the details of the process of knowledge. And so we're talking about knowledge transfers, knowledge sharing, knowledge interaction. So you have knowledge management and knowledge in dynamics, and a lot of ways we can do the attitude formation. This is the 4-year university in psychology. And then we have talking about skill, which is your human resource development. And so it is a huge information and knowledge, and assumes that you can recall what you have studied in various different disciplines and fields, or you can Google around and find out how we can get the knowledge. So this process, this is not a simple static issue. This is a continuous process, especially in the era 4.0 artificial intelligence. This is going to be very complicated, but it's not complex, and it can easily be solved by computer programming. And so complicated and complexities are two different issues. Could be complicated, but it's not easy. It's not complex. And complicated, you can build the competencies or through computer programming to deal with the situations. The complexity is a little bit more difficult, challenging, but you can also use the knowledge to deal with that complexity. Okay, so the knowledge is necessary for you to form the strategy, and so the ability to be different, to solve things differently, and to handle your business differently. That is called distinctive competency. And again, I want you to understand that we are not talking only at the individual's level. We are talking about business level. So you have to demonstrate some distinctive competencies in your organization. Okay, and we do not to make use of a lot of words like competencies. Those are subtle details, and sometimes forget about it. In research, maybe a little bit of details, but again, if you explain that that you can use it interchangeably, then it's okay. So we come back to the questions of distinctive competencies. So how are they going to be different? What kind of competencies that make your companies distinctively different, uniquely different from other competitors? Again, I have already shared with you, which is called VRIO. Okay, and that and your ability to deliver competently, uniquely competently on certain things that can make you to win in your organization, and that you need resources. So resources are very important. It could be your tangible resources, it could be your intangible resources, it could be your transform resources, it could be your transforming resources, or it could be your intellectual resources, it could be your physical resources, it could be your financial resources, it could be your legal resources, it could be your social resources, it could be so many different types of resources, and then you use that resources plus your overall capability. Right? I have already talked about the capability, overall capability. Okay, so your overall capabilities. Eventually, you're capable of dealing with this. You're capable of solving business issue. You're capable of solving business, ecological issue. You're capable of solving, understand customers. You're capable of deal with the emotions. You're capable. So you combine all these capabilities that is very more broad-based things, and then you narrow it down to distinctive capabilities. Distinctive capability we call competencies. Distinctive competency, you narrow it down, use your resources, which you need money to invest on it, and you already build capabilities, and you already built the capability. It depends on your strategy. You will build the capability differently and build your resources capability differently. So if, for example, if you work in a seafood production company, Let's say, for example, you work with you work in with the CP companies, and again, the CP competitive strategies are different. CPs want to demonstrate that they have the competitive advantage in terms of the a quick productions of their seafood in a way that can get the product fresh or taste good to the retail stores or to every export. Wait a second. Hello, Professor. Yes, yes, I'm teaching, but it's okay. Any important urgent issue or otherwise? Okay, okay, you tell me. I'm online teaching, yeah. So I post for a while, yeah. From home, because the campus is very difficult to control my internet. Yeah, very difficult to control internet because yeah, I'm on it, but so at home is easier. Yeah, spiritual. Yeah, yeah. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Oh, you mean today? Today? Oh, okay. I will do it after the class, which is about 3 hours start. So another 2 hours I will book for you. So 8:30, 8:30, right? Okay, don't worry. Okay, 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 okay. I will do that. Don't worry. I'll put up 3 hours. Okay. Okay, okay, okay. Actually, for the spiritual things, I already submitted my extracts and put the article. Yeah, a long extract. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, Poland. I love Poland. My daughter's graduated from Poland, so yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, okay. That's happiness. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I for me, I would be the happiness and spirituality from the Buddhism perspective. Yeah, 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 yeah. That should be okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay, you can tell them. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Oh, oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. I will do that tonight. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we can. It's so busy this nowadays. But I think we can maybe by the end of the have to be beginning of next month. I will start focusing on it. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think I think I was. Yeah. What? Yeah. On what, the letter, on what, my letter? Oh, oh yeah, yeah. Because no, because what happened is that I contributed very actively to this group of organization, this group of publisher, and this group of publisher is very serious, and they are very dedicated. So I almost every month I review a couple of their peer review, and then and only a few, and so they have a couple of very serious people helping them together. And then after that, they starting from, I see them starting from nobody to suddenly so many journals coming out and into Scopus. So I learn, I share, and I think I what I learned from them is that if we serious in the review process, and the Scopus is 100% for sure. Yeah, the key thing, professor, is the review, the peer review. You know, yeah, the standard has to be very clear cut, and then then okay, that the actually is like that. Yeah. But if we follow, those professors in Thailand, right, some in Achanyana or whatever, sometimes they only want to get published, and then we will not be able to get our scopus. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mm. Right, 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 right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mm, 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 okay. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. Oh. What about your student? Your student soft computing paper is still hanging there or what? Oh. Mm. Because the publisher, the web website publisher still, I know that the two articles of your students still not clear yet, right? Not yet clear. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, that's good. Mm, 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 mm. I think it was already in the peer review process, but I do not know where the peer review go to. Yeah, yeah. The publisher is Rouch, Rouch Publishing. So it's a web website on Anot, and Anot, I forgot the name. Yeah, it's on the web website. Yeah, on the web. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Okay, 8:30. Okay, okay. I will do that. Okay, bye, bye. Mm. Okay, sorry for coming back because it was an international call for the organizing the international conferences and keynotes, and so yeah, we have a lot of duties, and we, not only uh, help the students to learn, we also share with the international partners, and this time was by the universities in Europe, in Austria and Poland, and want to collaborate and ask me to talk on the topic on the happiness and spirituality from the Buddhism perspective. which links to strategy, business school. Okay, so coming back, this, so we used our competencies to develop the strategy, because the way of our thinking depends on our competencies, and that depends on your skill. So the more you go through your homework assignment, right, the skill, the more you're capable of developing and shaping your strategy. And your strategy that you shape will, if you implement it, you will get a lot of data. If you do not implement it, you do not have the data, and you do not have the data, then you do not know where you are, and it will not help you to build your capability and you build your resources. Again, so in business, strategy implementation is very, very important. Theory is your strategy, but where is your data? That is your implementation. So everybody can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. You have to walk the talk. Okay, and that will strategy will eventually result in competitive advantage. And we have already demonstrated differentiations or cost leaderships in the market, whether it's broad market or narrow market or combinations or hybrid of it, called blue ocean strategy. Coming from the VRIO, going into the differentiations in cost leaderships and the blue ocean competitive advantage, and then therefore deliver superior profitability. So everything's are different things, but actually they're all talking about the same thing. And your job is to demonstrate these capabilities of things. And I would try to give you a homework assignment that needs you to think a little bit harder, which is artificial intelligence. And I do not require you to do programming, but I, at least from the business strategist perspective, you're supposed to learn how to apply and know where are the strategy. And so therefore you can build your resources of artificial intelligence and use that artificial intelligence to be different, because artificial intelligence is just a resources. How do you use that? That is your distinctive competency. For example, and it is a big problem nowadays in the world. And for example, you talk about a lot of German cars, Audis and Mercedes-Benz and things like that, and UK's Rolls-Royce and whatever. And everybody nowadays trying to have use the general resources on artificial intelligence and even computer chips. And even they of course they have the capabilities of people, and they want to build a unique distinctive competency in such a way that the future cars are all artificial intelligence control. So your ability to demonstrate artificial intelligence control system in your car in a robust way, that would be your capability strength. If that is the case, then you can shape the way of your design of your product in such a way that differentiate in the world. That is called strategy of competitive advantage. And you have to explain at the business level, okay, and use the real example, and look at it very carefully, right? And things like that. And so in a sense, okay, so we have already discussed so far and so broad, and also focus on certain strategies and competitive cases. And so in a sense, when the task, collectively you have a lot of capabilities, so that is very useful for tasks that will pop up in the future, and things like that. And in the futures, the environments could be uncertain and complex and volatile and things like that. And so capability is good, because capability can has not been zoomed in. They can, your capability of dealing with customer issues, no matter what kind of customers comes into the pictures, you will be able to solve that issues, and that's capability. And then on the other hand, and we have the more task-oriented things, that the environment becomes more control, because you know what you're doing in your companies, and you know where is your directions, and you already making sense out of it. So you have already sense, and you try to seize it through your competence. That is more task familiar and environmental friendly. So anything that after your sensings and conscious sensings, the consciousness, you will tend to be familiar, and things that in familiar you can know what things you need to do. So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, or like architecture 1, architecture 2, architecture 3, architecture 4, design 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever. And so that is the differences within that competencies and capability. And in between, there is certain zone of complexity which you have to deal with it because it's this zone of aging that is the crossing point between capability and competence, and that is the organizational learning taking place. And so you have to really be more specific. So and strategy comes into the picture. This strategy come into the picture. So by strategy means that you're making clear of your organization. When you make clear the organization, you get a certain strategic investment, and then the strategic investments will therefore pump in the money for you to invest on the right hand side, and or channel your capability more into the competency. So you're channeling your capability to the competency, and that is what we mean by zone of complexity. And again, all these issues, I'm not so sure where you have learned. You could be learning from human resource management. You could be learning from HRDs. You could be learning from management sciences, or you could be learning from social psychologies or whatever. Okay, this is and this all issue environmental familiarity or unfamiliarity, we call context, and task and familiarity and unfamiliarity we call context. So back to the triology. So back to the triologies of this concept. And so we are actually context. So we are talking about context, and in this case is the environment and the task. And this environment and task will determine your conduct of the strategy. Okay, and if you apply the concept, apply certain concept, apply certain concept, plus apply certain concepts of the strategy, you will achieve, you get a lot of details. So apply certain concepts of the strategy, right? Okay, and so this is what we mean by the trialogies of the strategy. Okay, so very important. Very important. You comprehend the trialogies, right? Logies of the strategy, okay, and things like that. Very important. And I will update again for you. But this case I have demonstrated to you is the knowledge activities, right? So we have learned from here is the knowledge, okay, which will generate the activities, okay, and the more activity you generate, activity will generate is you will induce where you focus, you particularly particularly and able to focus, and we call it consciousness. Okay, we call it consciousness, or in ambidexterity sense, we call it or acknowledge it as sensing. Okay, sense your sensing. Okay, and then the more you sense, and then the more you will go through a lot of reaction. Okay, so you have a lot of more further activities. So you have more further cognitive, affective, behavioral, agentic, right? Normative, all kind of activities and reactions, actions and reactions, right? Actions and activities, right? Actions and reactions. Okay, so we can have activities or actions and reaction, and this all these activities will can reinforce your attitudes, okay, and you reinforce your knowledge and and things like that. And so this is this is what we means by we therefore build a characters, and we build a characters, and these characters such as our brand positioning, okay, and things like that, and so these brand characters will tell us whether we perform or dying, okay, and or happy, okay, happy or not happy, okay, right. So these are all these issue, okay, very important issues. The key is still against the knowledge, and then we are focusing on the activities, and then induce where you particularly to focus, and this and the more you focus, it will induce all this issue, right? So we call in the embedded story embedded story terms, we call uh, the sensings, and in fact, after this, because this is only the focus, so we could have the perceptions and interpretation, okay, interpretation, right, things like that, okay. So these are the many interpretation which is through here, and then reinforce your attitude, okay, and reinforce your attitude, and then it will generate more knowledge, okay, and then we therefore forms characters, and these characters is the driving force that we will excel or we will continue to deteriorate, okay, and then whether we are happy or we will uh, not happy, because it is a state of the mind that determines what we're doing. Okay, so these are the basics situation. Okay, basic situations on what we have done. Okay, so this in a way, if you look at if you look at the time domain of perspective, you have the SKR, skill, attitudes, and knowledge, and then you slowly do it, and then you will form the competencies or abilities, and that is at the individual level. And then slowly, collectively, you build your capabilities, okay, to deal with all kind of the world. Okay, you build your capability to, whichever words is not coming, we have the capable we are capable to do that. But when we are starting to focus on certain strategy, that we are moving into this direction. So this is a more clear part of with the strategy focus. So with the strategy, okay, focus, okay, with the strategy focus, right, with the strategy focus. So uh, this is where we coming into the picture. So with the strategy focus, with the strategy focus, we are moving, right? We are moving from the capability to the competencies level, which is what I have just told you, right? With the strategy, we will use the capability to build the competency, and so this capability build the competency to deliver the performances, and the capability depends on your the skill of your your ability, and your capability has that capacity. So certain company has the capability, and sometimes they are capable of, for example, they're capable of producing this kind of products for in this kind of volume, or in terms of this kind of in terms of this kind of qualities, or the things like that. But then due to certain uh, technical constraints or resource constraint, or it could be due to certain constraint. Okay, it should be, so there are certain thing imposing on this constraint. Okay, so there may be some constraints or risk. It could be some times. Okay, so it should be some constraint. Okay, it should be constraints of resources, or whatever. Okay, or sometimes it's just the strategic, or strategic purpose. We do not, right? It's always the case, right? And so because of that, our capability has that certain uh, 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 capacities, okay, capacities, or investments budget, okay, budget, right? And all these issue really are the places where we uh, are able to deliver at that present capacities. And then again, from the abilities can deal with all the present, future, past, and into the to slowly the present and the future uncertainty facings, and into the present task details, and allow us to diversify, and that is called competencies. Anything that is diversifications and then bring, that means is your core. Okay, so for example, why you study so hard? Well, you study so hard because you want to, so that you can be capable of doing something, and how you can capable depends on your time, depends on your direction, depends on your budgets, and then you're capable of doing so many things. But if you're so capable and it's something at your core, so whichever job you want to apply, you can do it, right? So if people ask you to go to semiconductors, you can do it. If people want you to go to work for a service hospitalities companies, or maybe NASA's, or maybe more advanced technologies, NASA's, navies, or whichever, and you're able to do it. That is what we mean by business core competency. So your core competencies allow you to expand into different markets, and target into different futures, and into different areas, and so your profitabilities, your revenues, your top lines are as unlimited as your investments fund. So the more you want to deliver, the more you need to do something about it. So this is what we mean by the competency and competitive strategies. So I'll share this also to the competitive strategies classes, and so I do not need to repeat again, and I will continue to move on to other sessions tomorrow on the business competitive strategy, so that you can learn something new. And at the same time, they also need to do more than the reading of yes tomorrow, because they need to understand all these issues, because these are fundamental driving force in connection with the in connection to the competitive strategy. Because without the SW, you cannot have OT. So that is the reasons why the OT and SW is good to combine together. That's the reason the competitive strategy and the business competencies are just the SW and the OT in combination. But if you can make it into business research in three together, even better, because this business research has this exploratory, exploitative capability, as this ambidexterity capability. So through the business research, we are transforming the SW and OT, which is the business competency class and the business strategy class, to be ambidexterity processes of the capabilities. Okay, and then depending on the strategic focus, we can narrow down what we want to gain a competitive advantage is, and this is where business are. And again, for many different names, which I told you that you don't need to pay really specific attention to that. But again, you can, so long as you do not mixed up, and so long as you know that you are focusing on business level, and that is okay. Then you don't need to worry, except the capability, which is a very broad-based things. But the competencies you can cross utilize it, but again, from a very elemental level of knowledge, skills, and abilities, and which are a lot of resources. There are a lot of tangibles, intangible resources, and then you have to integrate all these resources and then put it into some utilization, such as for computer programming, such as for financial analysis, such as for the product development, such as for process improvement. So you're starting to form that competencies, and in aligning and coordinating all these competencies, and able to channels all this into a certain value creation for your business, such as uh, uh, value proposition, delivery or productions or creation. Then we are talking about competence, business competence, core competence. But if you don't want to use that, that is fine. Just combine these two together as core competencies, and make sure you understand is at the elemental levels, okay, and at the business level. And so it's not a big deal, okay. Not only for the present moment, but also for the future. Okay, so the capability is a bit broad-based capabilities. You can help you to deal with the emerging futures and all kind of tasks. So, and next move, we are in a business today. We are focusing on this. Tomorrow, maybe we are focusing on another task and that task. It could be people request you to brainstorm on new ideas on a different customers, and so you're going to visit the different customers. For example, you visit different hotels, and the hotels has the different automatic control systems for the cooling and for the heating, and they use a different computer. They're using different systems. Maybe they're using the Honeywell system, and so and therefore you must be capable, because you have done a lot of jobs, and this competencies eventually will also this competency eventually will also help you to build your capabilities. So capability and competencies are mutually interrelated. It's not a one-way direction. There is a feedback direction. And so when you work in this area for a long time, you build a ability to be able to understand that even though you're not dealt with this particular automatic control systems for the building automatic control systems on chillers and heating, but then you can because you have that capability, so you can generate a lot of information, generate a lot of ideas, and adapt to new challenges on the Honeywell systems, and plus you have open attitude, so that you can easily recommend things to your companies, to your customers, and get things done, and through the partnerships, of course, and be leaders. And so if you go into the slightly a little bit of tangible, intangible issues on competencies, right? Then we know that at the knowledge levels, and knowledge competency dealing with knowledge, attitudes, and skills, and knowledge is a little bit more explicit and on the surface, which you can see is of course knowledge is intangible at the beginning, but then if you turns the knowledge from the intangible to the tangible, which is what you want to do. And so we knowledge is a huge competencies, and your ability to turn the tacit knowledge to the explicit knowledge, right? So it becomes more tangible, and so it becomes more like tangible, right? And this explicit knowledge is example. It could be your policies, okay, quality policies. It could be your quality policies and quality management systems, manuals, and or maybe operating systems of your company. And so this is what we mean by the knowledge. Okay, and And so this knowledge and skills you can see, right? At the end of the day, you can see your crafted machines, your designed machines, your processes, and things like that. And so knowledge and skills are the one that expose us to the consumers, expose us to the to the consumers, customers, more or to the competitors that can see more easily, right? And this is on the iceberg. We call that on the top of the top the surface iceberg. And example, I give you examples on knowledge that relating to the service hospitality. Is an example on the on quality services of hospitality, quality services, hospitality, quality services, and one of them is called the customer perceptions of our assurance capabilities or competence, and and so what do they do? What do the customers what do the customers do in this area? What the customers do is they forms the perceptions. So if they as they okay forms the perceptions. They form perceptions of our ability or knowledge capability to assure that we can deliver quality service, right? And this is what we mean by the iceberg. Okay, this is what we mean by the iceberg. So we can talk and talk and talk and on the service marketing, and no need to, right, you no need to go into um, understand the course. I mean, attend a course on the service marketing. If you just apply this, you can make your company's success. So in conclusion, in conclusion, we are seeing competency. Okay, we are seeing a business competency to deliver service quality, which give the value customer okay value, okay, perception, and so willing customers will be willing to pay, and willing to pay, and so willing to pay generates the revenue, and generates the revenue and increase the profit, and so maybe better than other people's, and so we have the competitive advantage. Okay, and so it is linked to competitive strategy in this sense. Okay, so also this is how the things are from the starting point of business competency, and then generate the service quality, okay, and deliver the values, educational value, experience value, and then willing to pay, which is the estimation of the revenue, of the revenues, and from there we can increase the profit. Okay, and this is a simple issue on the value proposition, and I mean on the competencies, and below that is all kind of things, you know, on your attitude side, or things influences your attitude. So attitude is somewhere down there in the on the bottom, and there are a lot of factors influences your knowledge and skills, social role, self-image, which is relating to your attitudes again, and traits, which is personality traits, your personality, which is again relating to attitudes again, and your motive, which is driven by your attitude again, and all these are just nothings but just the subtle details of SKAs. Okay, Oh, so how, in that case, there's so many things we can do, but again, we don't have enough time. And so many things that if it's a long process that we can talk about it. And if it's a PhD degree, then you and me can have plenty of time to be masters all these issues. And there are a lot of things that we can do, but um, so just give you a couple of examples. For example, from here, what I have just explained to you, how it's just how you can improve at the organizational level. So how you're going to improve at the organization, transfer this aspect model, the competencies at this general patterns and transfer and improve the organizational levels. And you can look at it from many different. And social role is very important as organizations as members. So we're talking about cultures. We're talking about cultures and self-image is at the organizational level. Because you can think of in terms of the identities of the organizations driven by cultures and plus if you support them. The employees well, which is human resources. So if I so you can have the you could have the cultures. Okay, so you could have the cultures and you could use the cultures, right? You could use uh, cultures and values, core values. Okay, core values uh, to provide this social role cohesion. Then you for the self image, you can give them a job this job characteristics this job description, the job description areas, and it can help you to self image of everybody's and things like that. So, okay, we will don't have enough time, and many things you have to learn how to think by yourself. Okay, so uh, one more is I want you to learn is balance scorecard, which is you can combine all your business competencies, but and put into proper uses. So it means that your business process competencies should be able to generate benefits to the customers through value propositions and then again this so many things that can do on the customer side and then generate a competitive advantage and then most importantly the growth, okay, of the company. And the business competencies can have so many details. It could be innovations area, it could be technological changes, it could be value change, it could be business model, and how do you get these competencies happen is your induction and deduction, which is a learning and growth process. Inductive, deductive. So this is deduction. Induction is your basic fundamental driving force of the learning of the induction and deduction. From the business research perspective, we call it induction methods or deductive methods. But from the education learning perspective, if you go to the library or any books or Googles and you try to find out the theory of education and this theory of education and theory of learning, again, back to the inductions and deduction. And people grow, right? People grow because of this induction. People grow because of this deduction. But one more thing, this is where the balance scorecard from Business Harvard School. So Business Harvard Harvard Business School professors Cameron and Norton talk about learning and growth driving the business competency, which drive customers, which drive the financial. But I have done a lot of research. I've done a lot of research with Myanmar governments on the hotels, and I was helping the governments of the ministries of Myanmar in understanding how the organizations, how the hotels organizations are capable of the of the I mean improving their hotel performances and things like that and so in many different areas, Bagang areas and those areas, and I still have many governments officials at the directors positions in Myanmar. And every time when I go there is they give me very good treatments and free lunch, free dinners, free livings and things like that. And because I helped them a lot, and it was not only on hotels but also one in the rice milling. That was in some other provinces in Myanmar, and so we found out one thing is that the balanced scorecards learning, starting from learning and growth, is not sufficient. As you already have known from all my discussions, there are another steps below learning and growth, and which is at the psychological foundations, and another papers that I want you to read. Uh, and I want you to learn from these papers, but I will ask you another questions. But again, hope these papers can give you the inspiration, which is the next project. 2 weeks from today, you will hand in a project, and which is and read it, because any paper that asks you to read, it will be used. I'm not so sure it will be used for your midterm exams, or it will be used for your final exams, or I do not know. But you read it, it will consolidate your understanding. This is and you should grow with me, right? I know along the process of this learning. And so class one, business competencies. Let me see whether I already put it here. So this are the strategic. Okay, so I found out that long before this article, is there is a behavioral strategy and deep foundations of this dynamic capability, which is ambidexterity, which is learning and growth, which is the psychodynamic concept. And I found out that there is motivation, policy, organized structures, and strategies not only at the behavioral psychodynamic domain, which is motivation, but also at the strategic management domains that needs to facilitate the learning and growth. And so for these papers, you can read the PowerPoint, the YouTube slides of business research yesterday, and already submitted to you, YouTube. And you can read the ambidexterity, the ability to sense and seize the opportunity, and by knowing where you want to go, then you reconfigure all your resources, the competencies. Then you organize your resources, get more organized so that you can deliver the performances. And this papers talk about ambidexterity into the future, into more details, such as by focus. If you want to sense something, you got to be able to focus. That is consciousness. Okay, where the starting point of consciousness. But after consciousness, all the details of perceptions and interpretation. So all the perceptions and interpretation is right here. Okay, all the perceptions and interpretation is right here. So after the consciousness, Winyan, and everything is perceptions and interpretation. So I hate you, I love you, I care about you, I really need to be with you. You gotta be my, you gotta be my partners. You gotta work for me, and all these issues. And these are all the interpretation. Okay, and this interpretation therefore becomes your consolidating point for your sensings, and from there you start to claim, seize opportunity, and rearrange all the activities. So you start to kill people if you hate people. You start to harm people if you hate people. If you start to love people, you start to care. You start to do something good for the people, and this is called good speech, right speech, right? You don't go and harm people's by wrong speech, like of compliance and things like that. And this is all, and complaining is okay. But if you complain based on the wrong focus and wrong perceptions and wrong interpretation, you develop the karma. And this is why there's no never ending for a human karma. So whatever you want to do is fine, because this is anatta, it's non-self. Okay, no one can control your mind. You cannot even control your mind. It is your mind that drives you to complain. It is your mind that drives you to hate. It is your mind that drives you to love. It is the mind that drives you to do certain action. So it's an anatta issue. Okay, so I will give you this article to read, and then from there you make a strategic choice. That means starting to seize the opportunity, SWOT, and from there you can consolidate your resources and capabilities and competencies according to your strategic resource, strategic choices. Okay, so this is the situations on competitive strategy, and I mean the competency. So competencies or competences, business competencies. There are a couple of things I want you to learn, so you know what is really means by competency. If you go back to the fundamental understandings on this issue, which is you have a knowledge. Those are the fundamental elements, right? You have the knowledge, you have the attitude, and then you engage actively, and you if you are able to perform to a certain level of skill, whether it's cognitive skill, affective skill, behavioral skill, innovative skill, value creation skill, whatever skill. That means that you are able to repeat things in an efficient manner. That is what we mean by competence. Your skills and ability is the driving force for all the things that happen. And so in that particular situations, we come to understand the characteristics of competencies, which denoting as repeatable, knowledge-based, right? It is coming from knowledge. Attitude, right? Repeatable, knowledge-based, process-based ability to sustain what you need to make use of all your business model and resources. So is to sustain a coordinated deployments of your assets and resources in a way that can help your company achieve the goal. And that is the fundamental issues on competence. And this, based on this competence, is at the core, that can win over the customers. That it will be your competitive strategy that is competency based. So competence has this capability and these characteristics, and so make sure you understand repeatable skill, right? Repeat again and again and again and again. Okay, so and knowledge based, right? Coming from a knowledge driven by your attitude, so it's towards certain goal. Things like that. Ability to remain competitive, right? It's very important. Remains enable the firms to launch a goal-oriented process. So your process that you say you want to set it up, this process, okay, which is this process, okay, the corporate filtering processes or reconfiguring processes, or the process that which starts from your attitudes, corporate cultures, making sure everybody on the same page, and then into your value chain, and so this ability to remain competitive through your competencies, because competencies build competitiveness. Okay, but if you want to get competitive advantage, you have to align with the competitive strategy. Otherwise, it becomes a competitiveness. So the ability to remain competitive enables a company, a firm to launch goal-oriented processes and thus improve your company performance. Okay, so this is very much goal-oriented processes. And so in a way, back to our inductions and deductions is that we have to perceive our data, okay, which is the perceptions, which I already have demonstrated to you, which is ambidexterity, okay, right? You have to perceive, right? Perceive, which is sensing. So consciousness, sensing, okay, and then you start. So these sensings and perceptions is very, very important. And if you go back to this graph. Okay, if you go back to this graph, graph, the avicca อวิชชาสังขารวิญญาณเกิดรูปนามแล้วก็เกิดตัวปัสสะหมายความว่าตัว Sanya, and or the Vetana. And so the knowledge or ignorance or delusion generate all those activities, generate the consciousness, generate the name, the tangible and intangible name, and the bodies, and then all the sense channels, your eyes, ears, and then from there you get contact, and to start to make perceptions and feeling, Vetana, and the decision, and things like that. So these are the general issues on the social psychologies, and so very, very important. You perceive the data, we start to interpret. So these are senses, and from there we organize them into a knowledge. We start to seize, and then from there we reconfigure, and that is called sensing, seizing opportunities, and seizing opportunities means that you already have reached the level of knowledge, and how to engage this process in a more create a more goal directed manner. That is goal coming into the picture, because we are talking about business. So this is way things are. Comparative strategy developments is therefore it's about generating that through inductive, deductives, and ambidexterity, generate intelligence, and the intelligence give us the ability to generate more information, and artificial intelligence therefore allow us to generate more information. But how are you going to do that? That would be your next assignment. And therefore generate a lot of ideas and strategies. So we call it triple I strategies for European organization development. So I hope that your class, and also the SW class, with strength weakness class, and the opportunity threat class, or the next class, would read this carefully, paying attention to this slide. And if you get into the pictures on intelligence, you get into the pictures. Why there's so many? Okay. If you get into the zone of intelligence, so what kind of intelligence you want to build? And again, separated. It is we know that it's not separated from where we get familiar with, because this is where our resources are. We have mind resources, we have body resources. So these are the resources that we have, right? So these are the resources that we have. These are the resources that we have, and there are a lot more resources that we have. And the other tools are the heart and our spiritual, okay, resources. So you combine all these resources and turn it into competencies and intelligence. And so at the bodies levels, we're talking about operational management, competency, intelligence. At the mind level, we're talking about ability to analyze things, and innovation, and strategic where to go, right? And spiritual intelligence means we know what we're doing, give caring to the people. Because the moment you harm people, either me or yourself, again, the harmness comes to the intention, okay, cetana. And so that's the intention is more important, because the intentions creates the karma. So anytime you intend to harm people or say bad things or complain, that intentions harm people. But if you do things with intentions to care about people, and your tone is higher, that is only a slight karma. Okay, and but if your intention is to complain and harm people, that intention is a bigger karma and things like that. So intentions, cetana, right intention, and this is where the court it study business ethics. And this, if you go to the legality issue, and if they cannot find evidences, they will find your intention. So what is intelligence? So intelligence represents a set of competencies, right, that allow you to to do whatever you want to do. Okay, business skill. Okay, so this is where intelligence comes into the pictures. Intelligence connotes what? Competitiveness. potentiality to make things happen. So that is the difference between competitiveness and competitive advantage. So SW, strength and weaknesses, and your business competencies gives you the potentials of being competitive advantage. We call it competitiveness. Competitive strategy, another class. A lot, if you make into a clear direction, it turns the potentiality into reality, into competitive advantage. Okay, so you have to therefore move yourself from these sensings and seizings and into reality in a way that can get your companies to be positioned in a way that can be uniquely getting some advantages in the company, and that competitive advantages driven by all this is turning the competitiveness to competitive advantage. So all this competitiveness and competitive advantage are like this. So the discussions on competitiveness and competitive advantage are just like that. Okay, and I think we will take about 2 hours. So I will not go more than that. So about 5 more minutes, I will stop, and then I will see. I will try to summarize assignments for you and for the next 2 weeks to work on. And a little bit more challenging and things like that, and I'll give you a feedback on your assignments. But basically, it should be all right. In this book, emotional intelligence, you can read it by yourselves, and there are a lot of competencies. So with personal competence, we're talking about your ability to self-awareness. So we're talking about personal competence, not at the business level, but at business level you can apply easily to the business. I already demonstrated so many examples, and because business composed of the people, and so employees. So employees, we are talking about do you have self-awareness? Right? Yeah, emotional awareness. Do you aware of your own emotions? Accurate self. Do you assess your own strengths and limits? So when you talk about SW strength and weaknesses, are you sure that we can accurately pinpoint where our strengths and weaknesses are? And that is called accurate self-awareness, self-assessment, self-confidence. Right? If you use the self-confidence wrongly, this is going to cause disasters. So that's why try to be humble. Okay, and at the personal level, but at the organizational level, then of course self-confidence, but don't self-confidence until it becomes stubborn. Okay, and this is called competence trap. Okay, there's a lot of theories, a lot of business research talking about when people start to have self-confidence, the whole company crash. So how many company crash because of self-confidence? A lot, right? A lot. Kodak, Motorola, right? So very confident. Okay, and and self-confidence, a strong sense of one's self-worth and capability, has good point and has bad point. And self-regulations, okay, your self-control, and PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act is very important. In every organization, you need to self-control, trustworthiness, consistency, means responsibilities and attitudes, and all these adaptabilities and innovations, all these self-regulations. Innovation is very important part of the self-regulations, because when you take on the resources, organisms, and create competencies and capabilities and apply that to win in the market, and then you get there, you seems to have certain competitive advantage and certain performances, but then you have to have the self-regulations, meaning you have to feedback and obtain the feedback from the market. And then when the feedback from the market or from your financial profit and loss statements, or from your cash flow and from your balance sheet. Also, when you start to see your changes of balance sheets and cash flows and profit and loss statements into a downwards direction, and that means that you need a self-regulated through innovation. So self-innovation is also therefore a very important part of regulating your organizations back to the competitiveness. So the competitiveness and the competitive advantage with the exploratory, the exploitative, or the inductive and the deductive, or the connection between competencies and competitiveness is a continuous cycle. through self-regulations and in the engineering or in the cybernetics or physical cybernetic era 4.0, which is the artificial intelligence era that we are coming into the pictures, is this continuous self-regulatory capabilities. And we call it autopoietic organizational capabilities and so comparative advantages, comparative strategies need that self-regulations, and innovation is a part of it. Okay, so motivations that is makes your force driving, and I have already talked about it in the continuous in the organizational scorecard from Harvard Business School. Okay, adding on with the cell regulations and eventually it will be cell regulations. Because, I'm not showing the cell regulations on this page, but you know that. And motivation is very, 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 very important, right? And so this achievement drive, commitment, initiative, optimism, and this is a huge, situation, because when you're optimistic that you can challenge an obstacles and setback, and that is a very important entrepreneurial characteristics or personality. And if you're optimistic that something, but you're optimistic based on knowledge, not optimistic based on some random fact and things like that. That is not that is one is still optimism, but it's not knowledge driven. So all these motivation. So motivation is a huge topic. It's talking about achievement drive, and commitment, initiative, and things. This is just a couple of simple example and a lot of details on this optimism. We call positive psychology, and the whole book is like that. And maybe the whole book is very thick, and so you can study by yourselves. And I'm not giving you homework assignments yet on this perspective, and I'm not so sure how good you are or how deep you are in social psychology and psychologies. And we have a lot of psychological textbook 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not so sure which level are you in, and so giving you that social competence. Okay, another issue is as soon as you are starting to deal with relationship, and that is social competence. A very important part of social competence starting from empathy, and we know this from service quality. Hospitality, one of the important service quality is the empathy, apart from responsibility, responsiveness and flexibilities and assurance, which I've just demonstrated, and the tangible things, the atmospheres, the design of the buildings, design of your processes, design of your service encounters. But the other issue is called empathy. You're aware of others people's feelings, needs, and concerns, and that is a very important empathy. And that is a huge thing. So we're talking about understanding other, developing other, service orientation, leveraging diversity, political awareness. All these are very important service-driven concept. And if you when you have this kind of competency, and then slowly you will be able to influence a lot of people. Okay, and so your social skills will be based on that competencies. You will eventually build a huge social skill competencies and capabilities. So based on this empathy, it will drive to the next stage of social skills that you will build up, and which is called your ability to influence people, communicate, and conflict resolutions, leadership change, catalyst, building bonds and collaborations and cooperations and team capabilities. All this come into the pictures of based on your empathy. And I'm supposed to give you a project, but again, many things we can do, and I'll let it be for a while. And I already give you so many ideas on here, and just try to give you simple examples and give me particularly on our managers' competencies and ensure the relationship to service quality, which I already demonstrated a lot of the how it links to service quality. So I already given you the hints and side and all these issues. So forget about it. And if you want to do, then you have to do a business research, meaning that you have to go and interview people, and that is a different story. Okay, so this is good for business research classes because every time when I give projects, and sometimes the depth of the of your report is not quite. Okay, so in conclusion, so given a context, in conclusions, we need the conduct. Okay, so in view of the concept and conduct and so the conduct of strategies is that first we gonna in view of all the context from the past to the present, or from the uncertainty to the from the certainty area to the uncertain area, from the less demanding area to the more demanding area, from the energy conservation, from the no awareing of the energy area to the energy sensitive context area, which is nowadays the environments of the US new governments and things like that. And so from there we start to develop the organizations, and based on developing the organizations, cultures, and human resources and things like that, we start to use that resources to build our competencies and drive our strategy. Which is able to solve the competitive strategies of the 3C coming from arising from the competencies as a result of the resources and capabilities of the organizations relative to the context, and therefore forms a trilogies of the strategy. So in a conclusion, is that we can develop whichever organizations we want, okay, and we can develop the leadership teams, we can develop the work systems, we can develop the management processes, we can develop the human resource systems, we can develop the principles and culture, we can sense and controls our corporate context, or get a good intelligence on the corporate context, both inside and outside. And based on these contextual understandings in contextual intelligence and our organization development basis, and we start to build a set of competencies and capabilities, so that our companies can coordinate, and companies is competence on doing so many value chain activities, and can confront, can deal with so many other issues, and such as conflict management, creativity capacities, and from there we can therefore achieve our business goal and self-regulations in a continuous learning process. And so this is basically the overall situations of the